All right, everyone. Welcome to Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, BRAP. It's great. It's Wednesday. It's hump day. And we have Mike Minotti on from GamesBeat joining us. But on that note, let's go ahead and officially kick off the show right now. Oh, wow. I tell you, that intro just woke me up.
So much energy.
Yeah. I was before we went live, I was telling Mike, I said, I just cut the lawn, a little tired, trying to get energy, had a long day, but that intro kicked in and I'm like, oh, it's go time. Let's go. It's like, I feel like a wrestler. Speaking of wrestling, by the way, Mike, as we were discussing
right. I know we're doing so much wrestling talk before we went live.
I feel like I need like a ramp with pyrotechnics when that song comes on, and I just walk down with like a Ric Flair robe, and I do one of these, and I give a woo.
What you gonna do when Basement Radio Arcade Podcast runs wild on you, brother?
Oh, I like that one,
brother. Exactly. That's too funny. But Mike, welcome to BRAP, sir. Happy you could join us. I obviously watch you on Fridays with Jeff Grubb. You see me there in the chat, and I really enjoy the show. I love the dynamic that you and Jeff have. It's a great show. It really is.
Yes, we are friendly, antagonistic, I think is a good way to put it. Yes.
Yeah. No. But no, it's great. It's one of the shows I love. I'm always working, and I always make it a point to that's kind of like my mid-afternoon, like when I worked in the office, I'd always make a run to Starbucks, get out of the office a little bit. That's your show is become my Starbucks now in the afternoon to kind of break up my Friday. So,
well, thank you. Yeah, I like that. We can GamesBeat decides the Starbucks of video game podcast.
Exactly. So, Mike, before we get to a little bit of your background, we'll go ahead and introduce the panel here quickly. We have Eric Jackson. What is going on, sir?
Not too much. Missed last week, but happy to be back. So yeah, definitely ready to get into some of these things. There's a lot to talk about.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's slow news day today, right? Slow news day.
Yeah.
And then we got Slow-Mo Backslap from the house of, I think it's the House of Backslap. Did I get that correct?
The House of Slap.
Thank you.
The House of Slap.
I stand corrected. Yeah, Slow-Mo, what's going on?
No, it's been an interesting day. I've been kind of just with everything that's gone on today, really eagerly anticipating getting into it with you guys tonight, because I just knew that I had to talk to somebody about this stuff. It's just it's been too much going on. Oh, and by the way, it just hit me again about Mike's nickname, Bald Jeff, because someone said it in the chat.
Oh my God, I know. It's my fault for promoting that. I could have just gone under the radar. I had to point it out and bring it up every week now. But I tell you what, the really good insults, they stay with you.
We know the feeling, Mike. We have people that say they hate our show and are going to unsubscribe, or maybe did unsubscribe, and then show up the next week. It's like
this was from a well-meaning fan, even
hate watchers. They hate watchers.
That's funny. That is funny. So Slow-Mo, always a pleasure, sir. Great to see you back on, man.
Of course.
We got the man who is our industry insider retail rep, Gaming Forte. I know you have seen the Nintendo Switch Pro. Give us the goods.
Can't talk about that right now.
Oh, okay. Oh, so Mike, so Forte works for I'll say this, a very rather large retail store that specializes in video games.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, he's got a Switch Pro right now. He knows how many 4Ks it has.
Man, maybe if Reggie was still there, I have one.
maybe
they don't have the system, but they have those giant placards on the back that somebody's gonna take
they do have Doug Bowser,
picture of. Yeah. Oh yeah, they got Bowser.
Man,
Don't
I'm
hear
so,
as much
So you're
from him.
saying Bowser is pretty stingy?
listen. No, Bowser's definitely not stingy. Definitely.
Jim Rye
I
might be a
love-
little stingy though. Forte.
Listen, man, I'm trying to sell my PlayStation right now, man.
Oh well, your
No,
PlayStation
I'm not.
5.
I'm really not selling my PlayStation 5. No, I'm not.
Well,
that
you
upset.
could. You could still play games on PlayStation 4.
You-
Apparently,
That's
Hey
true.
man, I didn't know my PlayStation was
Being
obsolete.
messy already.
Oh,
I didn't
what-
know it was
5 minutes
obsolete.
in.
I thought my PlayStation was, the next generation of everything coming, but it is what it is.
I just want to say,
it sounds like you don't believe in generations.
I never believed in generations. I'm a PC gamer that plays on Xbox and PlayStation, so this is good news to me.
I just want to say here at
Speaking of
BRAP,
which, wait, hold on.
we
I'm
believe in
disappointed.
generations.
I'm
Go ahead,
disappointed
bud.
here, Mike.
Why?
Where's my flute?
Oh my god.
Oh yes, the flute.
Yeah, where's the flute?
Here we go.
The
Give us
small,
a
one, the
note.
small one is somewhere else right now.
You have to play us in
I believe that's a recorder.
whatever the
It's
hell it
technically
is.
a tin whistle. It's not made of tin. I don't know.
Whatever it is, we need something. How did I know he was going to play something?
I messed up the D again. It's always the D, and then I say
Let's
something about the D,
go.
and then it sounds like a penis joke, and I get in trouble. There we go.
There we go.
All right,
A
here
little
we go. Yay!
We need to upgrade this show. Let's go.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. Mike,
Where else
can we
can
borrow
you
that?
get this kind of entertainment?
Only on the BRAP
Are you
podcast.
entertained, people?
That's right.
Yeah.
Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained?
Nah.
Yes, I got this thing too, but this was my first one. It cost like $10. It is a very harsh sounding. This will destroy everyone's ears. So if somebody says something I don't like, then I'll start jamming on this guy. This thing I think is actually made of tin or some lesser alloy. It is alloy with puffy cheeks.
Oh, which we'll discuss here a little bit as well.
Do we have to?
Just for like a couple minutes there, Forte.
Oh,
just for a couple
man.
minutes. Forte,
Okay.
it's always great to see you, man. Thank you.
Yes.
Hey, listen, it's great to see you.
Forte, did you ever get Rockman and Forte jokes?
Yes, I have.
Okay, I'm holding back, but I just wanted you to know my mind did go there.
Oh, it did? Hey, I wouldn't think it any other way.
Oh my goodness, that's too funny. Real quick, everyone in the live chat, thank you guys for coming out and hanging out with us. Please hit that like button and retweet the link if you're on the Twitters. Appreciate it. And if you're new to the show, subscribe, hit the bell notification. Real quick, I want to make Mike, I kind of want to get a little bit of your background per se, kind of introduction for those who don't know who you are. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your work at GamesBeat and, how long you've been in the industry in game journalism.
Yeah, it's been about 10 years now, which is almost hard to believe. I started at a site called BitMob, which was run by some ex-EGM folks back in the day. And it was kind of community-focused site. People could submit their own stories. And I was just a community member. And then from that, I kind of became an intern. And then BitMob got bought by VentureBeat, which owns GamesBeat, a good while ago. And that's when I went over to VentureBeat and slowly kind of worked my way, quote unquote, up there. And now I am a reviews editor at GamesBeat. Been doing that for a while with that team there, which includes notorious industry leaker Jeff Grubb, who I've been doing the GamesBeat Decides podcast with every Friday for a while now. So yeah, that's about the gist of it. I'm just another nerd playing video games, writing about them.
I love how you refer to Jeff as notorious.
Notorious industry leaker.
Sometimes I be wondering when it's going to end. Like,
Yeah,
who's gonna come after Jeff first?
Oh, it'll be me.
Like, Jeff, stop leaking this stuff.
It'll
Yeah,
be me.
Stop the madness already.
I can't handle it. My mental health is suffering. Stop telling people about
I
Elden
keep
Ring.
getting phone calls and emails from people because they're scared to talk to you about it.
Oh my goodness.
He's teasing Elden Ring, a game he doesn't even care about, but somehow he's like the number 1 name associated with it now. But that's all right.
Yeah. Isn't there some Elden Ring news coming out or something? Isn't that
I don't know. I would watch Jeff Grubb's Game Mess tomorrow morning. I think he's going to go out. I think he has something to say.
It's going to be
He has
interesting.
something to say about the game that cannot be named. I won't spill the beans for him, which would be great. I could out leak the leaker, but Sorry,
I cannot leak the leaker.
could not leak the leaker. But let's say he was very much in the mindset that that it will not be at E3.
Yes, he did say that.
And maybe his thinking has evolved. His thinking may have changed. We'll see.
Okay.
There's a little promo for the Jeff Grubb game mess, which doesn't even have my name in it, so I don't know why I bother. But there it is. But those are my biggest coattails. I got to promote those coattails.
Mike, as Eric says, you're a team player.
Yes, yeah, sure. We'll go with that.
Yeah, there's no I in team, right?
Yeah, so there's no I in Jeff Grubb either. There's a bunch of eyes in Mike Minotti, though.
There is a bunch of eyes. I'm gonna grab this super chat real quick before we get to the topics. Good friend T Rock 40 $5 super chat says BRAP gonna start his OnlyFans to pay for that 3080 Ti. Frames over dignity. Nah, no.
Oh man,
that's actually, you know what? That's probably a good segue. Real quick, let's talk about this 3080 Ti, 3070 Ti. I gotta say, I have some issues with Nvidia doing this. One, because the
is the evil corporation of every movie that you see, where like the evil, like they just sitting back in their boardrooms, just burning money and slapping their secretaries and all kinds of other stuff going on. And you're just like, wow, these people are like over the top evil. That's Nvidia.
I'm convinced Emperor Palpatine runs Nvidia now. You know,
unlimited power.
Exactly
right.
Give us your money, young Skywalker.
Unlimited scalping.
Yeah, 3080 Ti. You know, it's like, you know, here when rumors came out that the 3080 Ti and 3070 Ti were going to be released or announced, I'm like, wait a minute, like we can't even get our hands on 3060s, the 3070s, the 3080s, the 3090s that are out now. How like can we get, like, Nvidia, can we address the issue with, you know, stock or lack thereof for your current GPUs? And now the 3080, which is like what, I think $300 less than 3090, and it's only like, I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, Slomo, because you are the
3080 Ti is $300 less. The 3080 is the 3080 is $800 MSRP, but it's never, unless you got it the Founders Edition from a retailer and you were lucky enough to do that, like you basically won the lottery.
You won the lottery.
Then you didn't get it at that price. Most people either, you know, buckled to a scalper or they bought one of the partner cards that have never been that price and have always been about a good $50 to $100 more expensive.
Yeah, and you're getting, like, I think with the 3080 Ti, I've heard improvements of like 3 to 12% between the 3080 and the 3080 Ti.
Yeah, I haven't even seen 12%. I've seen more like 3 to 7%.
It's like it's not even worth it. It's not. It's a ripoff.
Who said it's not worth it?
It's not worth it, man.
Everybody?
What? Coming from what? Depending on what graphics card you have.
Well,
already,
I mean,
right?
If you compare it to the 3080, which is like,
do you have a 3080?
No, I don't have a 3080.
Okay, then it's worth it.
No, it's not worth it.
It is.
How is it worth it?
I'm coming from I'm coming from a 2080, so it's worth it.
You know who does have a 3080 is I feel like I'm bringing up so much. People think he's my shadow, but Jeff Grubb, he posted a review of the 3080 Ti today. He liked it a lot. He said it was what, in quotes, "This is the best gaming GPU you can get. The 3090 is maybe slightly better, but it's definitely not worth the extra money for gaming tasks."
Well, the 3090 is basically meant for higher end desktop applications because of the extra VRAM you get. Other than that, it's a 2% difference between every other spec on that machine or on that card versus the 3080 Ti, and you're getting it at a $300 discount versus that one. So if you don't need 24 gigs of RAM,
discount.
It's a Nvidia discount.
It's all overpriced. How much?
Can you go out right now?
It should have never been $1,500 MSRP to begin with.
The 28. How much was the 2080 Ti, Slomo, when it came out? 12. What was it? 1,000? And you couldn't find it for less than 1,200, right?
It was still overpriced. But continue.
Forte, are you the Nvidia take?
No, I'm a
exactly. He's
do they say
Nvidia. No. See,
do they send you a GPU?
No, I wish I wouldn't have somebody in line getting one for me right now if that wasn't the case.
Oh, and there it is. That's why he has the take that he's having right now.
I was gonna have to take anyway. Remember, I told you. You said someone was like, I was gonna get the 3080. I asked y'all in the DM. Hey, I got somebody that's willing to stand in line to get me a 3080. Should I just wait for the 3080, get the 3080, or get the 3080? You was like, no, man, just wait for the 3080 Ti. It's gonna be a better card.
I didn't think it was gonna be $1,200.
But what did you think it was gonna be? Hold up, bro. What did you think it was gonna be?
No, it's gonna come with your Happy Meal.
I thought it was going to be $1,000, honestly.
No, there was a price. Oh my God. There was a price point that was missing in the middle of that presentation when Nvidia did it. It wasn't $1,200. It was $600. It was what, $800? And then there was $1,500. I was like, it's going to be anywhere in that $1,000 to $1,200 to $1,300 range. I mean, it might be $100 overpriced, but listen, might be, but listen,
dude, it's a 70%.
Are you going to find?
Increase.
Are you going to find that card?
Listen to me. It is a 70% increase for a 3 to 7% difference from the 3080.
Let me ask you a question.
That is a price gouging, ridiculous price.
Question: Are you going to find a 2080 Ti for $1,299 after tomorrow?
No one's finding anything for a regular price.
I got somebody.
That doesn't make it.
Listen, I may end up with this card tomorrow because I have a friend that's literally standing in line for his. He's number 15 in line. He has his girlfriend with him. I said, I said, depending on, he said, if they have extra, and I said, no, take care of yourself first because you're the one that's standing in line. But if they have an extra, I got $400 extra for you. Just for standing in that line and getting me one. So he gonna let me know if they even have an extra one. Because guess what? That card, that card, regardless, if I get that card tomorrow and I actually get one, I can turn around and sell it for $3,000 if I wanted to. Because guess what? You will not find that card at anywhere near $1,300.
So you talking about scalping?
I'm not scalping anything. I'll put that mug in my PC and call it a day.
So why did you bring up? I could turn.
No, I'm just saying it's just the fact. No, you're making it seem like it's overpriced, but you're not.
It is overpriced.
You're not going to find these cars for anything cheaper than it. You can't even find a 3090 for less than $2,500.
That is aftermarket.
It doesn't.
That's
all that's available.
I'm not talking about that. Like, look, actual manufacturers of these cards have a responsibility to not indulge in that. To not say, I'm going to price this $500 higher than what the previous card that it barely outperforms, simply because
how much does it
the market is terrible, and I can't.
So 70% more is not outperforming.
Dude, wait, and how well is this going to run Final Fantasy 14? That's all I need to know.
Yeah,
how much?
3 to 7% difference in performance. It's a 70% price increase in price, not performance. It's 3 to 7% difference in performance. Clearly, you did not look at all the tech YouTubers.
So you're not. No. I'm just going off what you. I'm just making sure that you repeated what you said. I wanted to make sure you said it. No. So are you telling me that the difference in frame rate? Because some people 10 to 15 frames matter. I'm sorry, Slow-Mo. 10 to 15 frames matters to a lot of people out here. That's why why do you think people went out there and bought 3090s for $1,500, $1,600, $1,700? Because, they don't need it for the VRAM. They just want, more power. So don't get mad at Nvidia for going out here and putting out a price point that the rest of the freaking world decided like, I'm fine with that.
I can't believe you in here capping.
I can't be mad about it. Listen, I can't be mad at that. I'm gonna be mad
about it. You can be fine and bend over for that. I refuse.
And guess what? It ain't gonna be no difference because exactly when the 2080 Ti came out, even the aftermarket board partners were selling that thing for $1,200. They were selling the aftermarket board partners were selling for $1,200.
So you telling me also wrong? So you're using that as a defense.
Sir, $1,200 for a 2080 Ti that came from MSI, or for the Win version for $1,200 or $1,377. You trying to tell me that card is still the same price as a 3080 Ti that they're giving you at market value? And guess what? Even if you don't get lucky enough to get the Founders Edition of the 3080 Ti, you probably gonna pay $1,400 or $1,500 for the aftermarket version of it. So get the 3080 Ti while y'all can, because it ain't gonna be that price for too long.
How about awful advice, and we're going to get back to our guests. That's awful advice. Don't listen to Forte as usual.
Okay.
Don't get back to me. I was enjoying
until this pandemic is over. And then
No. Half the people in the country think this pandemic is already over.
Okay. All right.
What's going on, B Money?
So we got B Money. I don't know if you caught this debate, sir, but
he out here pocket watching people.
Oh no. I don't think that's what Slobo was doing.
Yes, he was.
No, he wasn't.
He was.
Mike, by the way,
because he don't want to spend no money.
Hi, B Money. It's nice to meet you. I'm Mike Minotti.
What's going on?
Oh, you know.
B, did you catch this debate, man, before you hopped in?
I heard a little bit of it.
What do you, okay, B, because you PC game. What are your thoughts on the 3080 Ti?
Oh man, it's in the bushes, man. I ain't playing around with it.
Thank you.
Why is it in the bushes, B Money?
Because the 40 series cars will be out next year, man.
That's a different discussion right there. I'm with you on that.
I mean,
I literally just said that.
We halfway through.
I didn't hear you say that.
He did say that.
I was too loud. I was too busy being louder than you, so I just missed it. So I will admit that I was too busy being louder than you, so I completely missed it.
I understand that. I miss hearing people all the time because I'm just too busy trying to beat them in the conversation.
Facts. See, that's why I like Mike.
Hey, Mike, by the way, if you listen to DPS tomorrow, this is what they do for not all the show, but many parts of the show.
It's definitely not the entire show.
No, it's definitely not the entire show.
All you gotta do is ask Jeff how his experience on there was a couple of weeks ago. It was great.
Oh my gosh! Well, please tell me people were yelling at him because I'll go and find that episode right now. Because anytime people are yelling at Jeff, that just that makes me feel all nice and tingly.
Okay, so
B,
I was gonna say, so B, you were saying, so is it just because the 4,000s are right around the corner, or is it something else?
Yeah, I mean, we halfway through the year,
right?
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what's coming the rest of the year as far as games are concerned. So, like, what's the rush to run out and get it?
Okay,
I'm with you. Like something better is like literally right around the corner. It's probably going to be priced in line, just like the 3000 series cards were, after the 20 series card. So, what I mean? Like, it's 6 months, man. Just hold off. So, hopefully, next year, we'll be in a better circumstance where everyone will be able to get them. All the bots out there will be able to, pull up to a store and actually get one. So do you think the price is is it worth the price? If say you just want to get one now, you skip a generation, 4,000. Yeah, you could wait for it, but you want to get something now. You got the ability to do it. Is the price worth it?
He just trying to feel good about what he's doing.
If you like coming from like a 10 series car, if you got like a 1070, 1080 Ti or something like that, then I think
Forte.
I got 20.
I think the price is justified. You know what I mean? Like,
what about if you got a 20?
If you got a 20, man, just hold it, man.
Just hold the 20.
Just hold the 20.
Okay, well,
that's what I have.
I might listen to B.
Hold 'em.
No, you won't.
Listen to B.
You liar.
I might listen. I'm holding this AMC stock to the moon right now. So
don't talk to me about AMC.
Yo,
don't talk to me.
Tell me you might pull out.
Tell me you might pull out.
I bought AMC at its height like months ago because it was like, oh, this is going to be the next GameStop. Then it immediately plummeted. I bought it at it was like 15 or something, and then it was at 10 for months. So then I looked and it was like, oh, it's finally back at 15. I can sell it and get my money back. And that's what I did. And now it's at 40. I am not a happy Mikey.
It's at 67 right now.
Oh, don't even tell me.
I bought it. I don't need
to know those things. I don't need to know those things. I could have gotten one of these 3080 Ti's.
Well, I bought it in
3090.
Yeah, I bought it in February at $3, and I'm still holding.
Yeah,
I can't sell it till it hits 100.
I had more than that in it, and I am oh well, that's what I get.
Yeah,
I'm not meant for this stuff. I'm way too me to play the stock market calmly.
Oh man, just turn the app off and never look at it. You'll be great.
Yeah. Now,
Mike,
do that. Mike, do you have a gaming PC?
Yeah, I mean, I've built a little something. I'll be honest, I'm not a giant like spec hardware kind of guy. Like when it's time to upgrade, I find out what I need to do. I usually consult the people in my life who know these things better than me, like Jeff. Like my older brother is actually pretty good with that stuff. So yeah, still leaning on my older brother for that. So, and honestly, right now, my PC gaming, I was joking about a little bit. It's a lot of Final Fantasy 14 at the moment, right? So, I'm kind of in a holding position here. Like, I'm gonna wait till things calm down a good bit with the graphics card and the this kind of insane period we're in before I really think about upgrading anything.
Yeah. I think the same thing too. I mean, I have like B Money said, if you have a 20 series, I think B said hold. I have a 2070, and I'm just at this point because it's so crazy for these GPUs right now. Like it's like if you could find one, great, but if not, like you're gonna either have to buy a pre-build or you're gonna have to like pay astronomical price point, much like consoles these days, like the PlayStation 5 and the Series X. So I think I'm just gonna wait until the madness
right. And
ends.
I got both the new consoles already because of work, so I'm lucky there. And I know I'm not going to be doing too much crazy stuff on my PC for at least a couple years, at least when Overwatch 2, Diablo 4 hit anyway. So at least right now, like my philosophy is like, I'm not worrying about it too much. I'm like, it's interesting to hear people talk about it, unless it's Jeff, and I like to pretend like he's making me fall asleep by spouting these numbers that don't mean anything to me. But it is interesting. And I again, he really likes this thing, the 3080 Ti. He was a big fan. But I don't know. Again, if you can get one.
Yeah. All right. So I think we're not. I think Slomo and I agree. B Money agree. Forte, I think you're on your own on this.
I could be on Forte's side anyways. We could just go in and say that. I don't want to leave him alone here.
No, leave him alone.
No, it's okay.
All by himself.
It's okay. Lone Rangers always go further in life.
You're the lone wolf. Eric, any thoughts on the 3080s, man? Or the 3080 Ti, I should say.
No.
All right.
Oh, that's because he doesn't want to pick sides. I got you.
Yeah. All right. Let me grab this super chat. I'm going to go to another topic here. We have Godzealot with the $5 super chat. With the advent of today's PlayStation news, let us all gather this Sunday with King David in our cubicles as we watch the man collect knees. That's a reference to King David of the Iron Lords podcast, which King was cutting promos like he's a professional wrestler today.
What you gonna do?
Yeah, no, like seriously, Mike. This I don't know if you follow the Iron Lords podcast. Lord Cognito, Jeff's been on their show, I think once or twice, but yeah, King with the announcement of the PlayStation of God of War really threw on his WCW Gold, the world title, and like
that's a beautiful belt.
Yeah, it cut a wrestling promo basically. More,
I love
less,
it.
So,
I love it.
It was great.
I think I'm going to cut a promo on Friday. I think I teased I might do one, so I might have to do a full thing. But that's the thing I do with my friends. A weird tangent. It's like we're for some reason we've split off into fictional wrestling stables, and we will, when we're together, we'll film promos and send them to each other. That sounds weird when I say it out loud. But that's a thing
cool.
we do.
I like that.
I don't know.
You guys
if
like
cool is the word.
the four horsemen. You know
Well, I can't even say the name of the one guy because it's just his full name, and he won't appreciate me putting it out there. But instead of Bullet Club, it's just the guy's name club, and that's what I'm in.
That's funny. So some guy working, I had some yard work done this last week, and one of the guys showed up in a Bullet Club t-shirt. I look at my wife, I'm like, oh yeah, Bullet Club. And she's like,
whoop, whoop.
Yeah, she's like, what's that? I'm like, oh, never mind. Yeah.
We don't do the whoop whoop anymore because that's associated with the guy who became a weird borderline pedo. Wrestling's fun.
Yeah. Oh God, Forte, take the Tom Brady thing down. All right, so oh, he's muted.
He's
muted. He's muted.
Nah, that's GOAT.
No, all right. So we have some Halo Infinite news. This is kind of a rumor, so don't take this as fact. And this is something that Jeff Grubb talked about.
Ooh. Man, he sure is coming up a lot today. Partially because of me, but
yeah. So speaking on his Game Mesh show, Jeff Grubb revealed that the E3 2021 showing of the game Halo Infinite is not going to be a deep dive into the game. The show will mostly be focused on multiplayer and will cater mostly to hardcore Halo fans. Now, hearing that as a Halo fan myself, I got to say I am slightly disappointed if this is true, that they will only show us multiplayer. We won't get any like deep dive or campaign, footage of this game. Now, Mike, what are your thoughts? Is this? Are you okay with them just showing multiplayer if this is the case, or do you want to see a combination of the two?
I would prefer to see a combination. I think I, like a lot of people, am very interested to see what work has been going on in the single player since that not so great showing from almost a year ago now, right?
Almost a year ago, yeah.
Yeah, so I'd like to see the progress there. I can understand the logic of focusing on the multiplayer. Like, that's obviously probably going to be what is the biggest moneymaker for this game. And it might be something that might be easier to please Halo fans with. Like, even Halo 5, right? I didn't play a ton of that, but I know people were happier with the multiplayer than they were with the campaign, right? So maybe that part's easier to nail down. And again, it's a part we haven't seen yet, so it's something that can be more exciting, and maybe it can get them away a little bit from that sort of negative connotation with the campaign. But I do think if they don't show us, then people are going to be like, where's the campaign? Are you still not happy with that? What's going on? Halo is going to be an interesting talking point this E3 because expectations, they're not like, it's not so much that expectations are too high, it's just that expectations are all over the place. Nobody knows what to expect for Halo Infinite. There's an infinite amount of expectations. So they're never going to please everybody with it. And, I'm telling you what, I'm glad I'm not in charge of that game because it's a weird one. It's such a big franchise with such a kind of messy situation it's in, with coming off of a sort of cooler release with 5 and that weird showing for Infinite. And I know Jeff's thing, we've been talking about it. His thing is here, maybe lower your expectations a little. I don't know if people are going to heed that or not. We'll see.
No, you should.
Yeah, I just feel like this is a miss for them though, not to show single player. Like, what have they been doing since the Craig showing? The Craig meme.
Craig.
And if this game is supposed to be releasing in, I guess, end of the year, November, I guess, of this year. Why not show something single player? Like,
we still have time. I mean, it's not like it's coming out right after E3, so they could show multiplayer now, and especially since they haven't shown any multiplayer yet. What if it's really exciting? What if it really gets people, hyped up for the game? That could end up being really good. And then, since clearly they definitely want the multiplayer to be something that resonates with people so that the game has legs in Game Pass. Mm-hmm. If that really hits, that might be really good for them. Now, if they aren't quite ready with the visuals, because that was the biggest issue with the portion of the campaign they showed last year, was the visuals weren't on point, then this would be a way for people to not, quite show that yet. And then they can show more things as we get closer to November or whenever the actual launch day of the game is. So I'm not disappointed with something I haven't seen yet. I'm gonna definitely give them the opportunity to prove, this looks good or not. And then I'll judge it based off of what it actually is.
See, that's where we differ.
Okay.
So I just feel like no matter what that multiplayer looks like, that multiplayer can be fire, but the conversation coming out of that is going to be, what are they hiding when it comes to that single player? Because that's the thing that everybody remembers last. The first thing that they should be showing you is what we did to fix at least some of the issues that people had with that single player. Maybe they will still show some of that. Like, they're definitely going to do a trailer. No, they're going to do something later on. Right. But I think the next thing that you should see from that game is them showing off what it's almost like that goodwill thing. It's like, we listen to you. These are the things that we improved in the game. And now, if the stuff's not ready, it's not ready. But my whole thing is at a certain point, we're going into May. We're going into June. This game is supposed to be launching in 4 to 5 months. What are we really that's going to get this that different? It's the same thing I talked about last year when they said we're only delaying it for a year. I was like, this game isn't going to be what people want it to be in a year. It's too many issues that people had with the overall conception and fidelity of the game. And at that point, I instantly told myself, well, the game that we saw, we're going to get a better vibrant, blushed up looking version of it with lighting and textures and stuff like that. But the overall aesthetic of the game is still going to pretty much probably be the same because they don't have enough time to change everything.
How do you know how much time it takes to actually fix the visual?
Okay, so Slomo, would you like to once again? We can go down this whole road of betting again. Do you want to bet that this game don't look too much different from last time?
Why are you going to betting? Answer my question.
Because I can use that money to go into my AMC stock.
Okay.
Oh, come on now.
Great.
Now you're losing me.
I don't
I'm
give
off
a
with Team
crap
Forte.
about your betting and your AMC. Answer my question. What exactly do you know about how long it takes to fix the visuals?
How do you know how long that
And don't answer my question with a question. How long?
You can't say that after I already asked you that.
Yeah, I can.
That's reviduous question answering
what,
there, sir.
What are you even saying? That's not even a word.
It
Can
is.
you answer my question?
Yes, it is
what
a word.
What do you know about what it takes?
I can tell you exactly. I can tell you exactly what I said on our roundtable on BRAP. I can tell you exactly what I said on the Iron Lords podcast. I can tell you exactly what I said on every show last year.
That
this game, it's always been, and I even always preface it, my opinion isn't going to be what people want it to be in a year. Because it was too much.
You didn't answer my question. My question was, what do you know about how long?
Oh, I'll tell you what we know. I'm gonna tell you what we know. We know that they have a new person coming in, overhauling the whole story aspect of the game because they said the story wasn't up to snuff. We also know that the engine wasn't completely ready at the time that they actually showed off the game. That's why it was missing some of the key features that was available in the game. Now, multiplayer is the only thing that we heard that was pretty much up to snuff this time last year, and they just pretty much just iterated on that and developed even more on it. But in general, if the game is like you're saying, why are you hiding? Because basically it's going to come off like you're hiding the single player. That's what it comes off as. And people are going to believe that no matter if you think they aren't or not.
I think that this extends beyond visuals, though, and how much you can improve that or a year or not. Just, because conceptually, when you look at that trailer,
it looked good.
Even just aside, it looked good. But even aside from visuals, it is just Halo. And I think for a lot of people, that's going to be fine. I think for a lot of people, they were hoping for something a little bit more newer and more exciting. And no matter what they show, it's going to be Halo. It's going to be Master Chief, walking around a planet and shooting these aliens. It's not going to have like an Uncharted or Last of Us, these really good demo making moments, these big set piece moments, right? You can have some bigger firefights or something. It's not particularly going to do that. Not to like go against my buddy Jeff here. I would be shocked if there wasn't something shown here. And if not there, maybe somewhere else during E3 week or shortly afterwards. Because I think it is going to be just too awkward to show nothing about single player. Because like I said, it is going to be this big elf in the room. And it's going to make people feel very uncomfortable. So they have to have some kind of small, really polished bit to show people. But who knows?
That's kind of what I said as well, Mike. I said, okay, if they're gonna feature multiplayer, because look, I think they know what they have that they're going to be going up against. I mean, you are bringing a multiplayer game into a world where you're not the multiplayer dominant game that you once were, and in a world where there are other bigger fish in the sea, right, that have people's attention. So you're going to have to hit hard with that because you're leading that into Game Pass and you're trying to get people into that, and you want people exposed to what the Halo multiplayer part of it is going to be. But I said if they're not going to show or talk about single player at E3, then shortly thereafter they're going to need to do that for a lot of the reasons that I think Forte's thrown out there. And I do agree with you too, Slow-Mo, in saying they do have time, but I don't think they have that much time because like Forte said, we'll be heading going out through June and into July, right? So there's still possibilities for polish, but at that point, you should be at a point to where you could comfortably start talking about it. So if this is a thing where it's like a couple months later and we still haven't really seen a single player, then either their focus is not on that, or we're back in a situation with 343 where it's like they don't have the whole pie. Like you have the filling, but you don't get crust.
You
know,
I'll say
one more thing.
Yeah,
they don't have the luxury of kind of like messing around, and all eyes are on them for good reason. It's a lot of the stuff Microsoft has dropped the ball on when it comes to this company. 343 has dropped the ball, and I'm sorry, but people keep doing this thing where it's like they're starting to set up this platform of giving Halo a pass for whatever their reasons may be. Whether it's like, well, why does Halo have to deliver and do this and this? It's not that Halo has to deliver. Halo should deliver because it's the game. Unfortunately, the position that they put this game in.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be the series that always did deliver, right? So that's the weird thing about it. It's weird to have it not deliver so much recently.
Let me clarify what I am saying. I'm not saying that it's okay if it doesn't deliver. I'm not saying that at all.
No, I don't think that at all.
Because if they just show multiplayer and it doesn't look good, or there's nothing new or interesting with it, or it's not on the level of what people even, just basically Halo purists expect from multiplayer, it's going to be a problem. And I'm going to talk about how this is a problem. Mm-hmm. But I don't like just immediately being like, oh, this is bad, and I don't know anything. And like Jeff Grubb has great sources, and so what he's heard is probably true of that they may have a focus on multiplayer, but that doesn't mean they're not going to show something from single player. It doesn't mean that's all they're going to show, considering how it's their only first party game that we know of that's coming out this year. I'm thinking if you're going to have anything that's going to get take up the most amount of time during the show on 2 Sundays from now, is going to be Halo. So I'm thinking you're going to have to show more than just multiplayer in order to get people really invested into the game. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking I just don't want it to be like, well, passing judgment on things that I haven't seen yet. I'm not doing that. That's all I'm about. And I've said it about when I was talking to Forte last week about Horizon Forbidden West, and Forte was saying things like, well,
that story,
the issues with the story, which is like, okay, that's cool. I had issues with the story for Horizon Zero Dawn as well, but I'm not going to say those issues are going to be present in Horizon Forbidden West simply because they were in Horizon Zero Dawn. I gotta give Guerrilla Games the opportunity to do better. And
you can still be critical though when you do it.
Yeah, but I'm gonna be critical when I actually see it.
Like I said, it just comes down. I guess you could get to the same conclusion in two different ways, but to me, especially in that regard, we're talking about the reveal of a trailer that doesn't really show it. Well, when it came to that game, it didn't highlight or show any of the issues I had with the first game. So I'm just talking like, oh, it looked amazing. The first game looked amazing, but that wasn't my issue with the first game. My issue with the first game was the pacing of the story and the story in general. So I'm going to give this, like I said, I'm going to give that game a shot, but if that story still falls the same way that it fell in the first one, then it's going to get the same reception that it got last time. And then the last thing, I see our homeboy, One Bad Mother. He actually talked about if they showed a trailer alongside the multiplayer demo, and I think that's perfectly fine. I don't expect I don't expect them to come out, and I'm not saying that you're wrong in what you're saying, Slow-Mo. I'm just saying that them omitting the single player completely being showed at E3 is a mistake, because that was the problem that people had with in the first place. So if they come out and show you like a sizzle reel of like a minute and a half, 2 minutes of gameplay, like environments that Master Chief's walking through, showing the lighting effects and everything like that, and then they say tune in to this day at a later date to see more of it, I'm good with that, because at least they show something of substance that will actually let you know, like, oh, okay, that actually looks good. You can actually dissect that a little bit, but not showing anything at all, that is where I have an issue, because the multiplayer we wasn't worried about. We're worried about that single player, and that should be the first thing they kind of highlight in that reveal.
Yeah,
well,
Mike.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm cool with. Like they could let people who are concerned about the visual aspect due to the pop in, the bad draw distance, all the flat texture, the very little textures on certain characters' faces, and the bad lighting.
Name, sir.
Craig. Craig and whoever that like sharp-toothed dude at the end of the trailer was. His name was.
That thing.
Like, both of those guys look like something from the 360. Both of them guys look like something from Brute Force. Y'all remember that game?
Oh
so,
my God! Exactly like that.
Thank you, Mike.
Yep.
Yes.
So if
Yes.
they do a
You know
trailer,
what? I mean, Slobo, I never put my finger on what it was, but that is it. It's brute force.
That's the first thing I thought. I was like, "Yo, why am I thinking about brute force?"
The one at the end is weird because they almost seemed really proud of it. Like it was like in a black room with a spotlight.
Man, they
it was just him
zoomed in
talking
on
for like a minute. I was like, okay, thank
with
you.
his hot breath.
Yeah.
Hi.
Right. So all I'm saying is they do a trailer that's like a minute long, and it looks visually amazing. And they you know how they do trailers where it's a lot of like cut scenes and quick cuts, but there's interweaved in that trailer is gameplay of the campaign, and it looks better than what we saw. Cool. That can kind of get people off of their backs a little bit about the visuals. I think show the multiplayer that we haven't seen.
I think it's like it wouldn't take too much, right? It would just take a relatively short trailer of a minute, right? And like that should be enough to get people out. But even that, as easy as it sounds, that can take a lot of work because you get to pull from a lot of different areas of your games that are in various stages of development to get a good trailer together. So it's complicated.
Let's be for real. We waited too long, man. They need to get something. They need to get something out there to actually showcase that. I don't care about time when it comes to their.
Well,
I mean,
when it comes to that.
Halo Infinite's real problems probably happened like 3 years ago or something.
Exactly.
Right? That's the issue here.
I cut off E. Go ahead. And what were you about to say, or was that B? I can't. I heard somebody.
No, I was going to say, you know what Mike brought up a great point that Halo, historically speaking, Halo's always delivered, right? And so that's why I think you're seeing some of the responses, some of the remarks from the panel right now, like from Forte, and even Mike, and somewhat to an extent, and Eric, where it's like I think the optics of it kind of like are like, well, wait a minute, like this is Halo. Like, how do you not show Master Chief in the campaign at E3? And E3 is supposed to be the grandest stage of them all. We could debate whether or not that's the case, but it quote unquote is. And you know, and according to this rumor from Jeff, there's not going to be really even a deep dive into the game. And so you're probably right. I mean, perhaps maybe they're saving. Let me get the super chat real quick. It's actually related to what we're discussing here. $2 super chat from Godzilla. It says save the single player for Summer Games Fest.
Maybe.
You know, maybe they're doing that. Maybe Keely's got it in the bag. You know, he's like, hey, you know, come here.
The only thing Keely's got in the bag. No comment, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's maybe they show it there down the road, but I just think the optics of it though are a little odd because it's E3 and it's Halo, and there's a lot of I think, right or wrong, I think a lot of expectations I think on this game. You know?
Let's put it this way, right? In 2002, if you had told people in 2021 that the new Ratchet and Clank game was going to be far more visually impressive than the new Halo, like they would have thought you were crazy, right? That's kind of the weird thing about Halo right now. Yeah,
they would have laughed at you. And you know, our good buddy, One Bad Mother, in the live chat, I have a lot of conversation with him. He's like, well, you know, like, you know, it's not just pretty graphics with Halo. It's you know, more complex AI, larger environments, and I'm like, yeah, that's true, but Halo's always been like that showpiece, and I think that's why you're seeing some of the reaction that we're seeing from people because, like you said, Mike, in 2002, had you said, hey, Ratchet and Clank is going to look better than Halo in 2021, people would have flicked you off and told you to go F off. I mean,
like, who would have, that would sound crazy.
That's the crazy thing because people, did they forget in 2015 how Halo Guardian started? Like them jumping out of the dropship, that 1.5 minutes of it was basically in-game assets. When I saw that, I was like, "Yo, this is what I'm talking about." And the studio that I thought they could definitely deliver on a graphical end, kind of disappointed when it came to that. I understand the aesthetic of the game, but you can definitely up the aesthetic of what the original Halo CE looked like. And it looks like they tried to do that, but with all of the different things that they were trying to combat when it comes to working from home and also trying to build the game alongside the new engine and everything.
And I can release it on Xbox One, right? Like we're going to talk about that later, but that's this cross-generational thing.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things that are against them, but it's just the fact that that's the situation that they are kind of in it, and they can't change that. So what are you going to do to showcase that you move past that? And I think that's what a lot of people are looking forward to.
Yeah. B, what are your thoughts on this, man?
I mean, in regards to them showing, something at E3, like if they don't show anything, I don't think it's as big of a deal. You know what I mean? As far as the campaign is concerned, because in my mind, I think they just really want to change the narrative around the game. And if they have something, in regards to multiplayer that they feel is special and, can really stand out among the other multiplayer games that are coming out this year, I think go for it. You know what I mean? Go balls to the wall with the multiplayer because it is going to be free to play. So, you know what I mean? You want to get as many people on that game as you can. And if you have something special, then, you could save the campaign for later. They can, do a Laurent, drip feed of information until the game releases, similar to what they did with Guardians, and kind of get people hyped up for a campaign. Whereas the multiplayer, you get that out in front of people's faces and get them excited, give them something to talk about. Then I think it changes the narrative from the ugly aesthetic that we saw last year. So.
Yeah, the context is going to matter a lot here, right? Like, how good does this multiplayer look, and how good does the rest of the show look? Maybe we're all going to be so busy talking about how Starfield looks like the greatest thing ever that we're not going to be all that concerned about Halo. We know it's coming; it'll be fine. They didn't show it, whatever.
They might be baking on that.
Yeah, I think that's part of Microsoft plan as well.
Bethesda's going to save the show.
Yeah, Bethesda, being with Bethesda being there, we know Starfield is hanging in balance, and Bethesda has so many other studios that could be working on stuff. So if they show a bunch of new IPs and stuff that's going to be exclusive to the Xbox platform, that'll get people hyped up, and Halo might not have to be as big as it needs to be.
Maybe Bethesda's bringing Quake back, and we're gonna be like, Halo, what? We got Quake 5.
Hey, let me tell you, I would be hyped for a Quake 5.
I would be, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
Those days are long gone, probably. Yeah, I don't know. This game, I don't know. I'm skeptical of this.
I just want to play it, right? I just want to play it. I just want to see what comes of it all.
Yeah, no, I agree. I
just want to know if we need new leadership or not. That's what I want to see.
Well, I'll tell you, that's the thing, right? If I was at 343 Industries, I would be so nervous about
that's I think that's all it is for me. It's like, I believe in the company. I just don't believe in the leadership because I know that they can deliver because they have done it in different ways on different games. They have given us solid multiplayer. They've given us a solid single player. The fidelity of the game has never been a question until now. So it's like what I see or what people
we're comparing it to brute force, for crying out loud.
Well, exactly. Well, that's what I'm trying to say. When did we ever have especially a 343 game visually compared to something like that?
I mean,
so that just doesn't stand up to me. So I'm sitting there like, I'm not worried because ultimately it's Halo, and I think a lot of people are going to still just jump into Halo because I think the multiplayer is going to really carry the game because that's what they're setting it up to do. So Halo's going to be fine in general, I believe, but this will put a stain on this year as making it say like Xbox didn't have any compelling games because guess what? They don't consider compelling when it comes to the multiplayer. They still feel compelling when it comes to that single player because that's the thing that they feel has been lacking on the Xbox side of it for quite some time. And they're not going to do themselves any favors by not showing that off in its best light. And I just believe if this game doesn't showcase itself right in the single player department, then there is some moves that definitely need to be made at the top. And no one takes that lightly when it comes to people's jobs and stuff. But this is like strike three for Halo's not going anywhere. They always tell you, we'll get rid of the coach. We'll get rid of the GM. We'll get rid of all these people.
Master Chief's fine.
But Master Chief and all of them, they fine.
Yeah, Master Chief and LeBron.
We're going to find somebody else to make this team work. And that's going to be the thing that, and like you said, Mike, I think that's what they're developing scared right now, I believe.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Sorry, you go ahead.
My bad. Go ahead, Mike.
My last thought on it is just, I think a lot of people want Halo to be one of the biggest games in the world again, right? And there's something in my gut that's saying Halo Infinite is not gonna be the game that does that. There's just been too much bad mojo already, and maybe we're gonna see something that completely changes our mind on that. But that's just how I'm feeling right now.
Mike, when you say bad mojo, you're referring to like the development issues,
culture.
culture or things that we've heard behind the scenes, the leadership changes, like or I forget the key positions that have had turnover.
I think a lot, and track record, right? Like again, Halo 5 didn't set the world on fire. Master Chief Collection had so many weird little issues and stuff like that. It just doesn't feel like we're quite ready to be like at the old Halo 3 days, right? Doesn't seem like that's happening.
Yeah, Mike, it's interesting if we go back to that 2002, and we said to somebody in 2002, "Hey, Bungie's no longer going to make Halo. Yeah. It's going to be 343i, and they're not going to make. They won't be as at the level as Bungie." People would be like, "What?" Yeah, right.
And that sure is going to get loud, though, huh? If this game comes out and isn't what people want to be, like it's already obnoxious sometimes, right? We hear people saying, "Just get Bungie and make Bungie to make another Halo again." That choir is going to get a whole lot louder.
Let's see. Let me throw this at you guys.
I wanted to say just real quick that in regards to the leadership, and I know I've said this before, but I'll just reiterate again. I feel like that change has already happened. We've seen multiple directors leave. The only one that seems like who hasn't quite left yet seems like is Bonnie. And I just kind of look at everything that's going on, and I kind of feel like they've already kind of like have done some moves behind the scenes, but didn't want to make it public yet because they don't want to put even more like bad press out there about this game and about this studio. So we'll see what happens. But I kind of feel like it's that stuff has already happened, so to speak.
Right. Well, before we move on from this, I want to throw this at you, kind of going back to what we talked about a second ago. I was having a discussion with Everborn Saga on Twitter a couple of days ago about this, and he was kind of saying like he doesn't understand where people get this notion that 343 isn't like sort of theoretically afraid of like the fan base when it comes to the moves that they make and the things that they do when they truthfully are. And I said I 100% agree with that. I said I think a lot of the reasons they haven't been able to completely deliver the vision that they want is because they're too busy listening to the fan bases, the old guard, and afraid to piss them off, right? And I kind
we
of
don't want Sprint.
Well, it's like everybody kind of holds it to the Bungie thing. They keep trying to create the game that Bungie made, as opposed to making the Halo that 343 would want to make, and trying to, it's like, are you 343 or are you Bungie? Which one are you trying to be? So maybe they need to start putting. When I say the same thing about the coalition, now that the old guard is gone, like it's not with Epic anymore. Rod Ferguson has moved on. I want to see what the coalition can come up with to really reinvigorate gears and put some freshness into it. Maybe that's what we need to see from 343. Maybe 343 has the ability, and they're trying to appease an old fan base. They're afraid to, piss them off.
Is anyone else? Is he e-botting to anyone else?
He's botting E
a little bit, but I think we got most of that. I think I think those are all pretty good points, right? That I think, and especially the name Halo Infinite, I think a lot of people were expecting a bigger departure than we're probably getting, aside from it just being more open world, which is really the only thing that justifies. We're not giving it a number anymore. It's such a big leap. It's now infinite numbers.
Right.
Yeah.
About the botting.
You're not forgiven. Okay, I forgive you.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's gonna be interesting. We'll obviously we'll see what happens at E3 and this summer. I hope this game turns out well. It's it'd be a shame if it didn't, because like I said numerous occasions on the show, this is Master Chief and Halo, for better or for worse, is tied to the Xbox brand, like Mario's tied to Nintendo. It just it is what it is. So we'll see. Speaking of iconic characters, maybe this character isn't as iconic just yet as the Master Chief, but we did see some footage of Horizon Forbidden West last week, and I thought the game looked great. But what I thought was really interesting was that people were kind of fat shaming Aloy.
Weird gamer takes.
Yeah, like Mike, what's going on in the community? I don't get this at all. I really don't. I think it's really weird,
it's bizarre, and you always hope it's just this weird like vocal minority that we would never have heard of in a pre-Twitter day, anyways. But yeah, that we're like, some people like, why does Aloy look gross now? Why are her cheeks so big? Like, and it's just like, what? First, I mean, for a person who's basically a caveman, she looks pretty good. I thought, heck, in the first Horizon, that was almost like a weird point. I feel like people wouldn't be that attractive in a society that was blasted back to the Stone Age.
Exactly.
But again, who cares? Whatever. But yeah, this was a thing. I think it's mostly been shamed, this opinion, into oblivion. Like the worst was the guy who had like the photo of like, this is what Aloy should look like, and she like was just straight up wearing makeup and like,
yeah, that guy.
Yeah, it looked like a makeup model, and it was like, that was like hire gamers, right? Because they could do it better. It was just so cringy and bad, and it was rough. It was rough, and I almost don't want to dignify it with too much of response. It was very stupid.
Yeah, and it makes no sense. Like if you played the game, there is no makeup in this world. So
people basically they are like
eyeliner or whatever the heck else that was on that fake Aloy's face. So like, where is she getting that stuff from? Plus, she wasn't exactly raised
Nordstrom's, come on, Slomo.
One of the elites. She was raised as an exile by an exile man who definitely didn't teach her any womanly things. So like, it's like in the context of this game, why beyond you got some weird fetishes that you're not really telling us about. But
look, if it upsets you so much that like your fantasy of having sex with Aloy is ruined now, just remember that she probably smells awful, so don't worry about it anyway. Like she's a cave person just running around in the forest, in the tropical forest all day. So if her not wearing makeup is ruining that fantasy for you, there's a lot of other issues there.
All these high standards for polygons.
Yes, right. People are still Laura Croft set expectations too high with her triangle breasts all those years ago. Now no one can match it.
It's a great point, Mike. It's funny.
Great point. Thank you. I thought so.
It's funny you talk about the guy with the picture. Like that's the guy I think that most people piled on. Like you said, like most people were shaming that opinion. That guy got, I think everyone in the community basically like piled on that guy, and I think he eventually muted his account, or I forget what he did. I don't know.
He privated his account.
Yeah, he privated his account. Yeah, after calling people, I forget what he called us, Slomo, beta males or something.
Beta,
right?
Beta cuts. The one of the good old standards these days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So just a very odd take. It's not even something that even crossed my mind when I was watching the game, because one, I thought the game looked
well,
really
you're a normal
good.
person, so
yes, this is
it
true.
Wouldn't cross your mind. Never crossed mine.
Yeah, I wasn't like, oh my god, Aloy looks like she's been eating donuts. What the hell's going on? we need to hire some gamers. Give her a makeover.
That's what they did this past year at 343. They hired just a bunch of gamers and they put makeup on Master Chief. That game's gonna be fantastic now. Saved.
Yeah. That whole thing, like, and I'm like,
you're botting, man.
Yeah, now you're full on Mega Man bot.
The bot is in session.
Yeah,
oh boy,
he can hear us.
Yep.
Yeah, you're botting big time, man.
All right, I don't know what's going on here. Hold on.
You might want to maybe drop in, drop out.
That's the Florida weather.
It's all that Aloy.
Come back in.
It's all that unsavory Aloy videos you have loaded up right now for the research for this section.
No, I always try to find a way to see both sides of a scenario. I was like, well, maybe people kind of taking the whole makeup thing out of proportion. It probably was a bad analogy to use. Boy. But then I thought about it more as I was reading, and I was like, this just isn't good, man. I was like, there's no defending this. I was like, because I understand I understand how some people can feel like, because when you play as a guy, you want to play. We don't really have that issue. You don't see pudgy guys walking around. It's like all ripped and buff. And I can
Joel isn't clean shaven. Damn them.
Yeah, I understand how some people want to have Laura Croft in every video game that they play. I can see that. But then when I just look at it, it's like, just because you feel that way, sometimes you just need to keep your mouth shut and be like, yo, I'm just gonna let this one fly by and not purchase the game if you really feel that strongly about it.
You have to share all of your bad opinions. And again, it's not like Aloy suddenly looks like an ogre or something.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because I'm like BRAP. When I That was the last thing. I didn't even see the screenshot of Chubby Cheeks until somebody freeze framed it and put it on Twitter. I was like, oh, that's a thing? Okay. Didn't even pay no more attention to it.
And she has cheeks.
I got oh boy.
What we got?
I usually don't show things that are not in color, but I have to here because this is
don't show it.
I'm going to show it because it's an interesting point here.
Oh Lord, here we go.
Our good friend Erodimus.
Oh well, you can show his. He's fine.
Why can't someone have an opinion on a cartoon character that doesn't exist?
That's maybe answering your own question there. I don't know.
That's a really good question. Yo, Erodimus, he coming with that fire, man.
Not all opinions are created equal.
Yes, you know what? I don't think we're not saying that the guy who wanted Aloy and lipstick and eyelashes that he can't have that opinion. We just think it's a terrible opinion.
Yes,
no. Like I said, when it was a bad take. Sometimes you just if you know what you're about to say is a bad take. Sometimes you just kind of just be like, yeah, I'm just not going to say this. I'm just going to let this be.
And I disagree with Erodimus on this. People went SJW protecting cartoon character and turn around and watch and me. What? What are we doing here, Erodimus?
I don't know where
anime, so
I don't know where Erodimus is going.
Yeah, I'm not a big anime fan, number one, but I this isn't about this isn't SJW, man. Far from that. It's just that this is just people calling somebody out on some weirdo shit. About
some weirdo shit.
I mean, that's what it's freaking weird.
It's weird.
It's like, we're talking about a fictional character, and you're upset because she doesn't look like a Playboy pinup model. Like, really? Like, what are we doing here?
It's bizarre.
I did see somebody's thumbnail of their video. I forget who it was, but it was a thumbnail saying, "You guys know I'm fake. I'm not real, right?" Matter of fact, it was shout out to the homie Persona. It was Persona Speaks video. I saw his thumbnail and I was like, oh Lord, you know I'm fake, right? Oh man, it's crazy.
Yeah, I think unfortunately, things like Soul Calibur, I think I've trained too many of us to think every single woman I'm going to meet is going to be the sexiest person I've ever seen in my life.
Yes, as in remember Dead or Alive beach volleyball, right?
Oh
remember
boy!
Oh yeah.
Not only are they going to be super sexy, but they're going to want to do beach sports with me.
Yeah, and actually, all joking aside, there's actually a pretty good volleyball game, by the way.
Oh sure. Again, like this. Hey, if you like Dead or Alive volleyball, fantastic.
The mechanics were actually pretty good. It actually wasn't a bad game.
Did you actually play it for volleyball though, Brad?
What?
Did you play it for volleyball? Or
yeah.
Did you use a lot of screenshots in that game?
No, I didn't screenshot it, man.
Okay, you screenshot. Okay, gotcha.
I got nothing against sexy
He was all
characters,
about the physics.
good-looking cartoon characters. It's fine. It's fine. But come on, don't be upset when the vegan characters are sexy enough.
Oh my goodness.
That's funny.
All right. So that was interesting to say the least this week. That was a topic. The gaming community never ceases to amaze me sometimes, for better or for worse.
The discourse, TM.
Yeah. By the way, Mike, someone earlier said that that Reset Era was going to ban you or something.
No.
I meant to ask you about that. Like, what's going on at Reset Era?
Well, that was just so with the Sony news that happened today, where we heard about so we heard that for Horizon Forbidden West, they're targeting this fall. They're not sure. And then God of War, which apparently was going to come out this year at some point, is delayed to 2022, which I don't know. If yesterday you thought that game was actually coming out this year, I have a bridge to sell you and so forth, cliches. But the thing that I was kind of interested in was the whole God of War and Gran Turismo specifically are going to come out on PlayStation 4. So, and I was going to write about that, and I did write about that. And the last time our site did a slightly critical take on Sony, it was Jeff Grubb saying, like, criticizing Jim Ryan's vision or something, and Reset Era had a meltdown over it. So I had to go on Twitter and give them a warning that I was going to write something slightly critical of Sony and to please not get mad at me. So I think it worked. I don't think there's any threads about me yet. So the warning paid off.
Is the key word yet.
What time did you post that article?
I posted, it was right before my little nappy nap, so that was maybe 4 hours ago. So I think I'm okay.
We'll wait till the European side sees it.
Oh no, that's where they're really all based, huh?
Oh my god! That's hilarious.
Thoughts
That's
and
hilarious.
prayers. Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers, right? Thoughts and prayers. So, all right. So, that's actually a perfect segue, Mike, into Sony PlayStation, because as you mentioned, we did get some news regarding God of War, and God of War basically being pushed back to 2022, and it being on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 as well. We know GT7 is also going to be on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and the thing that will always stick out to me with Sony this generation is the comment of we believe in generations.
Whoops.
But maybe they do, Mike. Maybe they generations in plural, right? Like PlayStation 4, PS5. We believe in supporting generations, multiple generations.
BRAP, look, I believe in eating healthy. Doesn't mean I always do it. I believe it's a good idea, but
yeah. So it's I'll say this. I'll give you my quick piece on this generation where we're still seeing both Microsoft and Sony support the older consoles. And Eric had you had the best meme today, by the way, where you had you said PlayStation. I forget what it was. Something about basically the gist of the meme was this is your PlayStation playing God of War in 2022, and it was the scene from Predator when Arnold just kills the Predator, and the Predator's like typing in his nuclear bomb. The timer's going off, and the Predator's laughing, ho, 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 and Arnold starts running. The lightning pyrotechnics start going off. You basically said that was PlayStation, more or less, right, E?
Yeah, because I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting trying to see these things running.
I mean, Gran Turismo 7 could be a late 2022, 2023 game, right? Really? They say 2022. Let's be honest. It could be 2023. In 2022, PlayStation 4, a base PlayStation 4 is going to be 9 years old, and the hardware wasn't that great when it came out. How is that going to run Gran Turismo? And that one baffles me because that is a series that is a lot of that is based off of graphical fidelity and realism. And if there was one PlayStation Sony series that you would think they would want to really be yeah, this is a PlayStation 5 showpiece, you think it would be that one.
Yeah. No, it's going to be interesting.
You're still bodying a little bit, man.
Lord, man.
Yeah, you're still bodying, bro. That's it's hearing that news again. Look, selfishly speaking, I want to see God of War only be on PlayStation 5, right? I want that game to take advantage of all the bells and whistles of the PlayStation 5 console. I want the same thing for GT7, like you said, Mike. GT7 it's a lot of it's on high visual fidelity, realism, if you will. We see that with the Forza franchise, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, look, it's great, I guess, that Sony's still supporting PlayStation 4 for the people that don't want to upgrade or can't upgrade because they can't find a PlayStation 5. They can still get these great games, but I don't know. I
think it's misguided. I think you can see, you can maybe see it like that, oh, this is good for that 114 million people who still have PlayStation 4 and maybe can't upgrade. But the awkward thing is going to be when Ratchet and Clank comes out in a little bit over a week, because that is only a PlayStation 5 game. And let's imagine a universe where I played that. Let's all use our imaginations really well here and imagine that for some reason I played Ratchet and Clank, and let's say that it is very, 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 very good. And maybe that's the best PlayStation 5 game, right? Then everyone's going to think that all of these games going forward have been held back by releasing on PlayStation 4. And maybe it'll be a little bit true. Maybe it won't be that as true as we think it is, but it's going to become a perception. It's going to become a problem.
Yeah, let me ask you something, Mike. Do you think this is kind of a response maybe to Microsoft still supporting multiple console generations and kind of that being their no gamer left behind mantra? And
see, I thought at first that with Spider-Man, it was a wholly response to Halo Infinite, but to continue it past 2021 is where it's really getting kind of a little weird to me. It all depends on really believing that there's a big enough audience that once, let's say they want Gran Turismo 7, they don't have a PlayStation 5, or they can't get one yet, or they just never plan on getting one. Is that big of an audience by late 2022? Is it so much of one that those people aren't going to be okay just getting that game when they eventually do get PlayStation 5? Because that's what we're seeing is happening with Miles Morales. Miles Morales keeps popping up in the NPD sales charts. It's not because the PlayStation 4 version is selling. It's because a lot of people who had PlayStation 4s just didn't get it for that console. They just waited until they were finally able to get a PlayStation 5, and then they bought that game. So, I just can't, it's hard for me to imagine it's worth the hassle of making these last-gen versions and holding back a PlayStation 5 version in whatever way. And maybe it's not very much. We saw Horizon Forbidden West. It looks fantastic. If the PlayStation 4 version is holding that back, we don't really know how. But again, we're going to see stuff like Ratchet and Clank and who knows what else. And in Sony's own words, so Ratchet and Clank is a PlayStation 5 showpiece. It's important to have a showpiece. Well, then that implies that God of War isn't a showpiece for the PlayStation 5. And that's kind of weird. Like, it should be, right? Same thing with Gran Turismo. Same thing with Horizon.
Yeah.
So we saw Horizon last week,
Mm-hmm.
and it's releasing on both PS4 and PS5.
Right.
So what is it that we think could only be done on PS5?
It's game design.
Game
It's a
design.
game design thing.
It's a matter of like the size of worlds, how you can play with drop. I mean, it's a lot of small things. And again, maybe it's not really that much. And sometimes it's creative things we couldn't think about, like how Ratchet and Clank uses the whole portals thing. I never would have thought that that's something, SSD makes that possible. Who knows what else you can really be clever about if you know that every single person playing this game is going to have an SSD and is going to have, the analog controls of the haptic feedback and all that other stuff. So there is a difference. And again, maybe not that much of one, but the PlayStation 5 is going to be fine no matter what, right? The thing's selling like crazy. It's going to continue selling like well. But in the game of winning gamers' hearts, it's such a game by degrees, right? In any little thing that can become a narrative. And I think we're already seeing it become a bit of a narrative that people are kind of upset seeing these last gen versions of these games come out, and they blame it for maybe these games not looking good. I mean, again, Halo Infinite, that certainly is going to come up, right? If that doesn't meet expectations, people are going to point to the fact that they had to make an Xbox One version. People are going to point to what happened with Cyberpunk, and a lot of people like to blame that for some of that game's woes. So it's just something. That's just why I think it's weird to extend this philosophy so far into the future. Gran Turismo 7 seems absolutely beyond where the line should be for this kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So you guys think they should just cut it off in the first year?
I think I could see it with Horizon. I think after that, that's probably enough. I think God of War could even just be PlayStation 5 at that point.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
I think they made the
agree with
decision to make those games cross-gen years ago, like before the pandemic, before we even knew what these consoles specs were going to be or what they even looked like. I think they had already intended on them to be games that would be on PlayStation 4, because it's as our buddy Optimus Code would say, and he's a former developer and all that, the hardware can determine where you go with the design of your game, how complex you can get with AI, even for NPCs walking down the street, how many enemies you can have on the screen at once. All that stuff is all determined by really what the hardware you're working with. It could be also to be determined by the engine you have and how much memory the assets in that engine are using up. And we've seen different engines have strengths that are different from others, but also weaknesses. And so all that stuff plays a part. And you of course will want to have the best hardware possible, so that when you're making your game, there aren't any, after pre-production, you're deep into the game and, hey, look, we got to cut this. We got to cut that. The hardware is not going to be able to handle that. And so that's the kind of stuff that you see that's actually limiting it. I think that, and I said this about God of War Ragnarok before, it took them 6 years to make the God of War 2018 game. This is coming out, well, when they announced it, would have been coming out in 3 years. I don't think that's going to be as big a game as the actual previous game was. I was thinking of it more of a smaller title like Miles Morales was to the 2018 Spider-Man. And I still think that is the case. But regardless, I also kind of feel like the game design isn't going to be that much different than what we saw with God of War 2018. Yes, the combat probably would have a little extra bells and whistles to it. There'll be a little bit more to do. Like they'll take the foundation of what 2018 was and build upon it. But as far as actual game design goes, you're going to still see the same amount of enemies on screen. You're going to still see the same, well, probably, hopefully, more variety of enemies, because that was kind of a minor nitpick people had with God of War, was that the enemy types weren't too varied. But you may start seeing some more of those different things, because they're definitely going to use some of the same enemy types we saw from the previous game. But this is because that's a cross-gen game. And so you're not going to get too far from where the previous game was in this, not even technically a sequel. So like when you see that from this close from the previous game, that's what you expect. You don't expect the game design to change dramatically, because they still got to make it on the previous hardware. And the previous hardware is not going to be able to handle like double the enemies on screen, or like even an even bigger world to explore, things like that.
Yeah, and that's why I like I asked a question, because to me, it I kind of agree with what Slomo said. Those games, Horizon and GT7 and the next God of War, all those games were planned to be cross-gen games anyway. Mm-hmm. Those games would have, if the PS4 life would have had to be extended, they would have just been PS4 games. It just happened though. PS5 was ready to go, and they didn't want to make the mistake that they did with PS3, where they had these amazing games ready and they were left on the PS3.
See, I definitely buy that for God of War and for Horizon, especially because these games are certainly just built upon the tools that they had for the previous ones that were on PlayStation 4. Gran Turismo, I feel like, especially from the early language from it, you can go and find the screenshots now that say something like exclusively on PlayStation 5 or something like that. I feel like,
oh really?
I feel like
they announced it. 5 months ago, they said Gran Turismo was a PS5 game.
I think Gran Turismo. I think this is a new development.
Technically, they kind of did the same thing with Miles too. If you remember, when they first showed Miles, they didn't say a word about PlayStation.
They didn't say a word about PlayStation 4. Yeah.
No, so it could have been the plan all along. You're right, but then it's just a question of, well, it's a bad plan.
So
because there was no real GT. There's no mainline GT game on PS4 at all.
There wasn't, right?
Yeah, they only released sport.
I mean, that's a whole nother interesting conversation about how Gran Turismo has sort of fallen in recent years from being like one, I forget which one, but one of them was the best-selling PlayStation 2 game, right? And then like the PlayStation 3 entries were kind of criticized while Forza was getting more popular to, just kind of absent the whole last generation for PlayStation.
Yeah. So the biggest thing for me when I saw this, I was like, "Oh, this is interesting," but it really doesn't mean anything, because this is something I already knew was going to happen. Most people, when they look at situations like this, they say, "Okay, well, why did I buy this $500 or $400 box if all the stuff's going to be on the previous generation that I already owned that I got rid of?" And I'm going to tell you, and I'll ask you guys this: you probably won't even know the answer to it, but I'm going to ask anyways. What is the one thing I say is going to be the thing that's going to move people from one generation to another? What's the thing that's going to truly make people go out and buy a PS5 or or Xbox Series X?
Xbox Game Pass.
No. Well,
when sports games.
There you go.
I was going to say availability.
When Call of Duty and NBA and Madden and FIFA
are only on PlayStation.
When they are only on PlayStation 5. That's when you'll see the majority of the player base move over.
Those are going to be like the last ones to do that too.
And that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize when they said, like, why would PlayStation? And this is like the whole reason that I kept saying these games are coming to PS5. I mean, coming to PS4. If you notice, people say, well, Ratchet & Clank and Returnal came over. Well, think about the games you just mentioned. Those games, or the games I just mentioned, those games aren't like heavy hitter sellers. They're more games that you put out to appease a player base to say, oh, look, we actually do have next generation games, but we're willing to sacrifice sales on Ratchet and Clank or get sales on Returnal to basically say that we have exclusive games on this system. But how many more sales would you have really gotten if you would have put it on PS4? Because they're more niche games, just like Demon Souls is more of a niche game. You're not going to do that with your tentpole games like Horizon and God of War and Spider-Man. Spider-Man was the most selling game on PlayStation last generation across 14 million. So they're not going to leave those games out in the cold. And like Slomo said, I think that was the plan in the beginning. They was like, we're going to put all our tentpole games on both systems. We're going to have certain games that are exclusive to PS5 that we really don't have, that we know will sell, but they won't sell like tens of millions of copies. But at least we can say we have content for that system. And that's the direction they're going to go in. And the last thing is, why do people think this is any different? Because if you're a PC gamer, this is nothing new. Like, are our PCs held back because you could play your you could play on a 4080 Ti from 10 years ago? Is your games held back for that? Just because I go out and buy a 3080 Ti, are my games held? Yeah, you might say they are, but guess what? Developers make sure that those games work across all those platforms, sir. They work everywhere. No matter what you do, no matter what PC you beat, whatever PC you boot,
they also have a minimum
those games will work. And guess what the minimum spec is? And guess what? That minimum spec is less than a PS4.
Forte.
No, it's not. Not
yes, it is for the most part.
Not now.
No, now
it's
not
right
now.
Even now, they're starting to tell people, hey, look, on PC, you better have at least a SATA SSD. Like it's getting to the point now where it's like
is the newest thing.
Well, but like I mean that's all a part of the entire SSD package. Like it's before like the majority of the gamers on PC were still running mechanical hard drives. Now you're starting to see some games. You see the minimum spec is like, yo, you better get a SATA.
But are you
SSD out here?
But Slomo, do you get upset because the game that you got a 3070? Are you upset that a person with a 1070 or a 970 can still play the same games you play? They don't play them as good as you play them. But are you upset?
I mean, I'm never upset about any of that stuff.
Well,
like that,
I'm trying to figure out why anybody would be upset about something like that.
No, I don't think anyone's upset, but I think there's a conversation we had that if like in this context with regards to PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, that obviously there's some design choices that can impact the kind of experiences we could be having for these games. These bigger worlds. Let's use Horizon Forbidden West as example. These bigger worlds, more AI on screen. We know the impacts to multiplayer based on game design when you have to design for the least common denominator. Like
you'll get that later on in the generation when they hit saturation and they're able to put out more of those systems.
But I want it now.
You're not going to get it right now.
It's my money.
Why is
question? Why did you? Okay, once again,
why is it wrong to want it now?
Like why did you buy your PlayStation 5?
Forte, I bought my PlayStation 5 because I'm a hardcore gamer. That's what we do.
Okay. If that's the only reason you bought it, I can tell you, I'm a hardcore gamer too. I bought my PlayStation. I bought my PlayStation 5 to play God of War. I don't care what. I just know it's going to be better than PS4.
I bought it because I wanted to play Demon Souls remaster or remake. Number one.
Well, that wasn't on PlayStation 4, so
yes,
okay.
I knew
you want to play Ratchet and Clank too, right?
Ratchet and Clank. I knew what Housemarque was working on.
That's not a PlayStation 4 game. That's PlayStation 5.
PlayStation 5, but we're getting pretty low on that. And
no, you are. But there's another thing though.
We also don't know.
That's true. We don't know. But I know I want to play God of War, and unless you're telling me God of War is going to look worse on the PlayStation 5 than the PlayStation 4. Then the benefit of me buying a PlayStation 5 is the fact that game's going to run and perform better on a PlayStation 5. Same reason you're going to go out and buy a brand new graphics card to make your stuff run better.
It's not, PC.
That's not the same thing.
It's not the same at all.
It's really. No, I'm just saying people go out and listen, I say go out and buy it. If you went out thinking that you were going to get next generation exclusives with this system, and people have been saying for the last year that these games are coming to both platforms. We've been saying this on this show. We've been saying that.
I don't dispute that. Yeah, people have been saying that. I still think it's misguided. We learned last time that people wanted to move on, right? Like,
well,
Destiny,
they said they wanted
Destiny
people to
came
move
out
on.
on Xbox 360, right? Does anybody now think that was a good idea?
Heck
No.
Right.
Terrible
No.
idea.
Well, that's a different philosophy. Now, if you want to have the conversation around,
Wait.
No, it's not.
No, it's not, Forte.
You talking about which one? Which one? You
Forte,
talking about which one?
you cannot keep up with your own arguments.
No, what you talking about?
You say it's a different philosophy. It's
Forte.
game
Which
design.
No, I'm
They're all
what
the
you
games
talking
are.
about?
Look, hey,
Why
let me get
is it
the
a different philosophy.
Let me get the super chat real quick. Let me get the super chat real quick.
No. Destiny is a different. I say it's a different philosophy. They wanted to move on, and they literally baked the new engine for not a new. They updated the engine for the Xbox One to get rid of the old one. Plus, nobody was playing on that system anymore.
Let me get the super chat real quick. Godzilla with the $5 super chat says, I think God of War 2 and Horizon Forbidden West will follow Miles Morales Ultimate PlayStation Fighter route to justify $70. Yes. Remasters. Yes. Hashtag PC Master Race. Thank you for that super chat.
And Bungie never came out and said that they were going to let that be an everlasting game on the Xbox either.
Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody thinks that God of War 2 and Horizon Zero Dawn are going to be bad games. I think we all think that they're going to look. What's going to be interesting is when Ratchet & Clank comes out. And Forte, you kind of brought this point that it's it's a bit more of a niche thing. And historically, yes, I think that this game is going to maybe elevate Ratchet & Clank a bit. I think the sales are going to be interesting. I think the attach rate is going to be very high, and I wonder if that is going to make Sony second guess themselves at all, and maybe not in a way they can change the plan, right? Like the plan is the plan. I don't know if you can
they can change that plan. They can change that plan at any time they want to. They done did it 6 times already.
That's true. That's true. So maybe they can, maybe they will. But yeah, I think Ratchet & Clank is going to throw a wrench. I wrote that in my story.
But if you look at it,
throw a wrench into things.
But if you look at it, Herman Holtz he really never said that it is cross-gen.
Yeah, not so many words. It's heavily implied. I don't think you're going to be sloppy with something like that, right? So,
well, I mean,
he left himself a little bit of wiggle room there. You're right for it to not. There's a little bit to back away there, but I think he knew what he was doing by, for the first time, bringing up that they are planning to make it.
Well, it was just like the conversation where he was talking about, oh my God, what did he say when he was talking about the about Japanese studios and stuff, and he was talking about he was super encouraged by the studios that were making games, and he was he said Polyphia, I was super excited for what Polyphia. I was like, that's not a they're a Japanese studio.
What's it called? What's it called?
Huh? What did I say wrong? I don't know. Polyphony? I don't know. Is that what it is? Polyphony?
Yeah, Polyphony.
Yeah, I said it right. Okay, whatever. Okay,
I don't think that's what you said first.
That is what I said.
Polyphemo will allow it. That sounds like
exactly.
It's
the easiest thing in the world.
Polyphemo and a
whatever. But like I said, he came out and said that he's super excited for what that studio. I was like, I've never looked at Gran Turismo as a Japanese game before. I was like, just because the studio is comprised of mostly Japanese developers, it's not a Japanese game. You can say that about
a lot of games, like Resident Evil, Devil May Cry, like all those games are made by Japanese studios, but people don't look at them as like Japanese games.
Exactly.
Called different names, and
Biohazard over in Japan.
Yeah. Biohazard, such a worse name than Resident Evil. Biohazard. Yeah.
They actually tried that over here too. Remember with the deluxe edition of 7? They actually named it Biohazard edition.
Yeah, I'd always had that subtitle, and then it was like even bigger on the. I was like, nah.
Yeah.
Stop making Biohazard. Stop trying to make Biohazard a thing. It's not going to be a thing.
But like I think overall, you guys are right. I'm not against you guys. I think overall, I just think it's a bad move.
I'm gonna go back to the Destiny comment.
Oh, go back to it. You can go back to that comment. Destiny, Bungie never came out and said that your 360 and your PlayStation 3 was going to forever run Destiny.
No, I don't think that's the point. People were saying the point is that they designed that game around the 360 and PS3, and the game design carried over. That game design carried over, for you pretty much to the middle of the last generation. That's the point.
Yeah, it wasn't the middle. It was.
And Forte, you're saying they
2013, right? Yeah.
2014 is when it came out. They moved over 2016.
Yeah, but you're saying that they dumped it as they should have, which is kind of what we're saying. What we're saying is that You're saying that because there was issues with the design.
No, but we're talking about a game that was all no. See, we're different. We're talking about different philosophy. You're talking about a game that was already existing.
It's still game design, though. They still had to design the game with the lowest common denominator in mind.
I would agree with you 100%. If the game, like if they came out with another, actually, what they did is as soon as Rise of Iron,
just like to argue, Slomo.
As soon as Rise of Iron came out,
as
soon as Rise of Iron came out, that's when they dumped it. They waited for a new DLC to come out to dump it.
But that's the point. They dumped it because
it's a new version of the game. I agree with that 100%. But if you're talking about,
but they also released the game already on 360, so
the game was already there.
It is what it is. It's not like they like they were releasing the game cross-gen. The game released on 360.
Thank you. That's it. The game was already there. So them saying that we're stopping development on a previous platform on a game that we already released is completely different.
I thought it released I thought it released the same time for 360.
It released same day everywhere. It just came out. It came out in September, so it came out 3 months.
That's right. There was like a buffer of a couple months.
That's a cross-gen game. I mean, clearly they were already working on the Xbox One and PS4 versions.
Okay, but who was going
to released on the previous console?
I wasn't waiting for the.
I think that's semantics. I think it's cross-gen, in my opinion.
I'm not saying it's not cross-gen, but it's just like Battlefield 4 was cross-gen. I played Battlefield 4 all the way up until the Xbox One version came out and transferred my stuff over. It was like, yo, we here, 64 players online. Let's go.
Was Battlefield 4 cross-gen? Or was that Battlefield 3?
No, Battlefield 4 was.
Battlefield 4.
Wow, you're right. Dang.
And it's not like it's not always a thing where it's always going to limit design. It's going to cost more money to actually do two completely different builds of a game. Mm-hmm. For example, like Titanfall for Xbox 360 versus Titanfall for Xbox One. They had some different things going on. Shadow of Mordor didn't the old like the two generations version of it didn't have the Nemesis system. Like that stuff happens. So
that's my point, is that I felt like we did this already that last time and we all agreed it was kind of a bad idea and we're just doing it again.
I think a lot of us were like, hey, let's move on from the older hardware and let's take advantage of these we did that last generation. It's just interesting that we are.
It is never going to stop. I don't understand what y'all don't get. It's
not it's about money.
When next gen comes out, we're gonna be having the same conversation.
Oh yeah, I mean,
all over again.
Obviously, there's a money component to this.
As long as the number one selling games on these platforms continue to support both platforms, you will never see first party fully move forward.
Yeah, as long as Call of Duty is around and selling 30-40 million a year, we're gonna see this every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I remember it used to be that like the sports games were the last ones, right? Like I remember, it would like Madden 07 or whatever was still coming out on PlayStation 2 and stuff like that, right? So that was I expected for that. I expected for Call of Duty, but we already know that for Sony, these first party games they're so expensive, and part of it is that they know they aren't necessarily going to make these giant profits off of The Last of Us Part 2. It's about making sure people buy PlayStation 4s or PlayStation 5s so that when them and their friends decide to play Fortnite or whatever the big hot game is, or Call of Duty, they're going to play it on the system they already own, which is going to be PlayStation, because they bought it for Uncharted and Ghost of Tsushima.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Ghost of Tsushima is interesting, right? Like, is Ghost of Tsushima 2, is that going to come out on PlayStation 4 also? Is that like, where's the line, I guess?
Yeah, where's the cutoff point?
I just thought that the line was before Gran Turismo 7, and apparently it's not. So now I'm like, well, how much further is that line going?
So, Mike, do you think we're going to see that mix, like kind of what we're seeing now through 2022?
No, I think that when Ratchet comes out, it's going to, in multiple ways, make them want to get a little bit away from that philosophy, because I think it's going to outperform. And I think people are going to be very, very impressed with it. And they might be getting a little bit like, oh, well, this is so much better because it's only on PlayStation 5. Whether that's true or not, it's going to be true to some extent. But it's going to become a narrative, and they're going to want to get out of that.
So the question I have is, we're talking about this in a game sense, but maybe Sony's telling us exactly what's happening when it comes to a console sense, because the only reason you would add Gran Turismo to that is if you think that PlayStation 5s won't be readily available not saying the 2013, but maybe late, like production, late 2020, 2022. So it might be a situation where they're like, yo, we won't get massive manufacturing for this system going into late next year. And by that time, it's like, we still probably, like, they're probably looking at, we could probably have 30, 40 million systems out if it wasn't for this manufacturing issue. They might be looking at 20, 25 million by that time. And they're like, we still got 130 million PlayStation 4s out there.
I think that's right. And I think there are going to be supply problems for a long time still. But I don't necessarily agree. So then you come to the conclusion of, well, let's just release it on PlayStation 4, because then all these people are going to bite on there. And I think Miles Morales is probably showing us, the data isn't super clear on it. I was talking to NPD about it, and it's hard for them to really split between the two platforms. But there's enough there to see that PlayStation 5 is the lead platform. And we keep seeing it pop up every month. I
get that, though, because for a good, I want to say for the first almost 3.5 months, I never seen a PlayStation 4 version of that game in the store. All I saw was, like, every time I got a PlayStation 4 version of it, it was gone. The whole holiday, all people were looking for was PlayStation 4. I had PlayStation 5 for days. So I don't know if
and then there's a whole digital physical thing. And maybe my thinking is just wrong, but I feel like a lot of people are just going to want to wait until they get the PlayStation 5, even if it's hard to get. Yeah. And then they will go and buy Spider-Man, they'll buy Gran Turismo. And
the data shows that. Yeah, but Mike is right. The data shows that. We've seen it with the fact that Spider-Man Miles Morales isn't having its typical sales. You know how, like, in the beginning there's a huge spike and then it slowly starts to decline as the game gets older. Instead, it's been like getting those slow declines, and it spikes back up again, and it keeps spiking back up because people are getting PlayStation 5s, and it's almost as if they are buying it like it's a bundle. Like they're getting.
Well, they are buying it as a bundle because that game is involved in every bundle out there.
Well, yeah, there you go. Well, I think it's such a beautiful game and so much fun, and plus it's Spider-Man that even if people aren't getting it in a bundle, the majority of people who are getting a PS5 are getting that game too. Like it's almost like you got to get that game. It's like it's almost to the point where it's like Breath of the Wild with the Switch when it first came out. And like people went and got that because why not? Like it's the game to get for this console.
Oh, thank you for acknowledging that, Slow-Mo.
Yeah,
I think Breath of the Wild is a great example because I think Sony wants their games to be more like Nintendo games in that respect, where that it's not just people buying whichever one is the newest, greatest one. It's people going, okay, I got my PlayStation 5. Now I'm going to go get Spider-Man. I'm going to go get Ratchet. I'm going to get Horizon. Like, even if it's 3 years old, doesn't really matter. I know it's still great. And now I'm going to play this game because this is when I got the system.
Yeah, let me grab the super chat real quick, gentlemen, from Rodimus, the $5 super chat. Thank you. Rodimus says, was Destiny really cross-gen since the Xbox 360 was Power PC and the PS3 was Cell Processor and the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 were x86?
Yeah, that's a different thing altogether, Rodimus. We're more talking about the age of technology and how the newer systems were the hardware allowed for more. There was more memory in it, better graphics, better APUs in both. So it's like that's what allowed it to be better. It wasn't really whether it's one's x86 or x64 or one has a cell processor or not. That really, by the way, the cell processor wasn't a boon to many developers anyway. They didn't really like developing on it regardless. So that really wasn't what it was about.
I just think the overall story or narrative to this is people say they buy these systems for new experiences and stuff, which they definitely do. There are people that do that, but a lot of people buy them, especially now, because I think this is the first full generation where it's more than just the new games that's making people cross over. It's more the PC atmosphere. It's like, oh, I just want to get better performance in the games I already have. And that's kind of the narrative that Microsoft has spent throughout pretty much the last half of last generation. So they have people thinking like, oh, all my old games are going to run better. And they're going to do that exclusively on this brand new system, no matter which one you pick up. So I think with these systems being mirror images and architect to the last systems is why you're seeing a lot of backlash or a lot of back push on people saying like, yo, I bought this system just to have better versions of the game. Like God of War is still going to be great on PS5, but I wasn't going to play it on a PS4. So for me, the PS5 was the only way I was going to play that game. And guess what, BRAP? If they say God of War Ragnarok's coming to PC, you won't even think about buying it on your PlayStation. You'll buy it day one on your PC, no, even if you got a PS5. And that's everybody in this panel that has a PC that's willing to do it.
I think it depends.
And they already said that they're going to have, and they already started implementing the controller support and stuff. They already have games that have haptic feedback controller support on PC. So if people want to say that, oh, I get the experience with the controller, well, you get that on those games too, because Days Gone has it.
I don't have three.
Then it's a
no, they baked it in. They came out and said it's baked in. They said it's baked in into Steam now for certain games.
Does that still? That doesn't mean it's day and date.
No, I'm not talking about the game day. I'm just saying if the game is. I said if it's day and date. If it's not day and date, you're not going to wait.
We already know it's not day and date because Herman Holt said it today that they're not doing day and date.
That's a whole other thing. They basically said our games are going to be the best place to play day one on PlayStation 5. I was like, oh, that's basically saying that all these games are definitely coming to PC
at some point. Yeah,
eventually.
Eventually, it might be 2 years later or a year later, but it's coming.
And they'll get people to double dip. You know, there'll be people who will, they can't
guilty
wait.
Charged.
They'll play it first on PlayStation, and then if they have a gaming PC, they'll buy it again to play it. With at whatever frame rate they want to play it at or whatever on their PC, and that's just more money for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a great point. Those are great points all around, gentlemen. And it is almost 11 o'clock, which means that we're out of topics now, and it's time to wrap up the show. So first, I want to give a big shout out to everyone in the live chat. Of course, I love it when we talk PC. We have the PC folks in the crowd that are saying things like a PC without a 3090 is not a decent PC. And then we have people saying that these new consoles are better than most PCs that are out in the wild. So always a lively bunch of the live chat. So thank you everyone for joining us in the live chat. Please hit that like button if you haven't done so already. And if you're new to the show, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you are alerted when we go live. On that note, want to give a big thank you to our guest this evening, Mike Minotti from Games Beat. Mike, it was a pleasure having you on, and got to get you back on again. And talk some wrestling next time too.
That's right. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. Yeah, maybe once that AEW game actually starts coming out, right? Maybe we can get something going on that.
That game kind of scares me.
Yeah, well, it's scary, but that's
some of the player models, and yeah. But no, Mike, again, pleasure having you on.
Yeah, guys, it was super fun. Thank you all so much. Thanks to everyone in chat. Thank you for having me. It was a good time. There's a lot to talk about this week. A lot of fun stuff. Absolutely. And if you want to be found, please let everyone know where they can find you on the Twitters, social media, everywhere. Well, my Twitter is Tolkoto, Tolkoto. Do the Games Beat the Sides podcast every Friday with Jeff Grubb. And I also do 90s Disney, my podcast about 90s Disney. Our last episode was about Disney Quest, which was Disney's virtual reality arcade experiment from the late 90s. So yeah, you can find that on 90sdisney.com. Awesome. Please check out Mike, support his content. And again, Mike, thank you again. I really appreciate you. It really was a lot of fun, guys. Thank you. Yep, absolutely. And then want to give a big shout out to Eric Jackson, who's having problems with his mic, unfortunately. Yeah, had to leave. I think I don't know. He must have said something that maybe rattled the folks over at Sony, and they're like, "No mas." They were coming for me. They were coming for me, and it got misdirected somehow. The reset era, folks. He get down, Mr. President, and me. It's the reset era, folks, that were coming after you. They somehow came after Eric. So. I don't know how they did, but they found me, Marty. Great Scott. I love that movie, by the way. It's one of the classic movies. I still love watching that movie. I can watch it an infinite amount of times. It's one of those. A Halo infinite amount of times. I like that. A movie's a classic when it could be 30, 40 years old, and then you can show it to people who had never seen it before from different generations, and they just like, wow, this is so good. Kids like it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, my kids love it. My wife somehow missed it.
when she was a kid, and I just looked at her like, "What planet did you come from?" So I showed her the entire trilogy, and she just fell in love. It was great, you know, to see people just, you know, pick it up and, you know, decades later, and just like, wow, this is such a good movie.
Yeah, it really is. It's just it's timeless classic. Yeah.
Yep.
So
I
on
just
that
watched Spaceballs for the 80th time today.
Oh my gosh, that movie's hilarious. Yeah, that's a great movie. I love
That's
Spaceballs.
a great movie, man.
It
is.
Cold the desert.
We ain't found shit.
Oh, the
We
pick.
found.
I don't know if I should be. Maybe I shouldn't be.
What was that? Spaceball 1. They
Oh my-
jumped the plaid.
You're thinking it now, Sarah. What's
Such a
happening
good
now?
movie.
Oh,
my-
okay. Sorry. I'm not just going to
All
start
right.
quoting
Mel Brooks
movies.
give us part 2 sooner or later.
Yeah. On that note, we give a big shout out to the man from the House of, I forget what it is. House of
The
Many
house
Slaps.
of slap. The
House
house.
of Slaps, man.
Thank you, Slimo. Slimo Backslap. I don't know where they can find you, man.
You can find me on my YouTube channel, Slow Mo Backslap, as well as my Twitter account of the same name. Tomorrow, you should be able to check out DPS Podcast at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. It'll be on Forte Gaming Forte's channel. So come check us out. We'll probably be talking about at least some of the topics that we discussed tonight. So be prepared for some yelling. Some Forte mispronouncing half the words he says, and just overall a good time. So come check us out.
I know,
That's too
man.
funny.
We saved that. We saved that for DPS every week,
Oh my
9 p.m.
goodness.
Thursday
Yes.
nights.
Yes. Gaming Forte. We had a Chrono sighting in the live chat. By the way, have you seen him lately?
Probably 3 weeks ago, he came up there just to visit.
Oh, okay, we got to get him back on the show again. Always love his insights on everything PlayStation.
He's actually working full time again now. He's actually
he's back. Okay, he's back.
Yeah, he's not like sucking Sony's money away from them because he's not really doing it on his accord. They're giving it to him, but
yeah,
I was jealous of that man. He was sitting at home for a whole year and a half not working because Sony didn't want them in stores. I'm like, oh man, I wish that was me. Sit at home and get paid
and play video games, right?
Well, yeah, I don't know if he really plays video games.
Oh, come on, man. Okay.
Oh,
all right.
don't do that. Don't do that.
All right, Forte. Let him.
No, I'm just messing because he gonna call me in like 10 minutes, be like, "Well, you
yes,
don't play
to.
video games."
He's going to. Go ahead, Forte.
He plays more video games than most people do. No, man, this is a great
he's
show.
a Sony representative.
Yeah, well, he got to know his stuff. He does a really good job in selling that stuff. So, this is a really great show, man. I truly enjoyed this, and it's always a great time being here with you guys. Mike, once again, love the stuff that you do over there with Jeff, and make sure you keep him honest. You know, because a lot of people come over there to come over there to see what you guys say because they already know what Jeff's going to say on a day-to-day basis. They want to know how you're going to react to it. So that's what we look forward to.
Thank you.
Yep. So, yeah, but it's a great time, man. Shout out to E. We're gonna miss you, brother. We'll see you next time you come on here. But it's Gaming Forte everywhere, YouTube and Twitter. So almost said it. DPS podcast tomorrow night on my channel. Going to be a great time over there. And you guys have a safe and great rest of the week. And get ready for a lot of stuff that's going to happen next week because next week's shows are going to be more fire than this one.
Yeah, we got we are on the cusp of E3 for sure. And I had Ratchet and Clank, which I think, Mike, are you doing the review for GameSpeak?
I'm not allowed to say, but let's imagine there's a universe where I've played Ratchet and Clank, and maybe in that universe, I think that it's something exciting. Let's just imagine that for a moment and then move on.
Oh, and then can we imagine in this universe that that game is going to be it's going to drive the demand for PlayStation 5 even further in the stratosphere.
How much further can it be driven, right? That's the thing.
Yeah.
But yes.
Like PS5 is going to hit a mass relay like in Mass Effect and just take off.
It's gonna be, I'll tell you what. You don't have your PlayStation 5 now. I think it's going to be rough for the next month or so.
I think
E3
so too.
And that, good luck.
Yeah,
good luck.
I think so. Good timing by Sony, by the way, with that, right?
All right.
Yeah. So last but not least, we got B Money 101. B, let everyone look and find you, sir.
Yeah, you can find me everywhere. Same name, B Money 101. It was a great show tonight, fellas. Sorry I'm late, but I had to eat. I've been
Eating's important, sir.
We all do.
yeah, I had to eat for sure. But it was a great show, and we see you guys next week. Ratchet and Clank is right around the corner. E3's right around the corner. Switch Pro is right around the corner. So
hopefully,
let's get to it.
Switch Pro.
Yeah, what is it? June? Is it June 16th? The Nintendo
Day one, Mike.
Oh God, yes. Oh my gosh.
June
Absolutely.
17th. Is it 16th or 17th?
Oh gosh, when was it? They announced
16th?
it's Tuesday. I know it's Tuesday. Whatever Tuesday is on E3.
I think it's Tuesday. Yeah.
Yes.
Right, but they worded their thing right. Like we're going to be talking about Switch software. So if they're going to talk about Pro, I feel like it's going to be separately earlier. We'll see.
Interesting. Mike, quick prediction
Day
regarding
one buy, Mike?
Switch Pro.
Absolutely, the easiest day one buy of my life.
Yeah.
there
Quick
we
prediction
go.
regarding Switch Pro. Do we see Metroid?
Well, I think we're going to see 2D Metroid. I don't think we're going to see Metroid Prime 4 yet.
All right. I was hoping Metroid Prime.
I wish. I got
Breath
my
of the Wild
I got my Metroid Prime bobblehead over there. That's from when
I
the
see
original
it.
came out. I got that at a GameStop way back when. It's a
Nice.
beaut.
Shout out to
Nice.
GameStop.
Hey,
Yeah, big shout out to GameStop Forte.
Breath of the
All
Wild
right.
2. We go see it.
yeah, we're gonna see it.
We go see that Breath of the Wild 2.
I think so. Now again,
Yeah.
I don't know, but come on, we're gonna see it.
Oh no, you're
Yeah.
fine. You're fine.
Yeah. Well, I just because
World was
especially with Jeff anymore, people take his words for gospel. So I'm always scared now of saying things. Be like, no, I'm not.
Well,
I don't know that.
So
For
we already
sure.
know what's going to be game. So we already know what's going to be game of the year. Then Zelda.
Well, I think I do know it's going to be game of the year. I don't know if it's Zelda, but I don't know if Zelda's
Ooh.
this year.
So whoa,
thank
hold on.
you.
Wait, so wait, hold on. You can't
Even
get
if
off
it
my-
is this year, doesn't
No, yeah, you
deserve to be
can't-
game of the year just because it's Zelda. I mean,
Wait. First, well, you just skipped over the biggest thing this man just said. He said
Yeah,
he
yeah,
knows
he-
what game of the year is. Like, okay, we're not going. We can't ask
We
you
can't-
what it
You
yeah.
can't
is.
ask me. You can't ask me.
We
I
can't
can't
ask
ask
you,
you,
but
but
I
I can ask
say.
you this. I can ask you this. Is it a game that's out or a game that has not released yet?
No, that's gonna
Oh, I
get
don't
me in
think-
trouble. I refuse. I
don't
refuse
think
to
you can
answer
answer that
questions,
either.
This is
sir.
a game that released
Forte,
yet?
you-
It's just Hitman 3. I'm talking about Hitman 3. That's all I meant. Hitman.
What platform?
The platform. The next
oh, that's a lie.
Iteration.
Man 3.
Forte, you were leading the witness.
I'm right. Like, listen, badgering it. Can I badger?
It's just
Do I
gonna
have
be
the?
Final Fantasy 14.
Can I
Actually, that's
badger
my,
the?
it's just gonna be Final Fantasy 14. That is the game I'm playing the most this year. Final Fantasy 14's game of the year.
Oh
Screw
my
it.
goodness!
Oh,
I
so
will say
you-
this, Mike. I it did not follow deaf ears what you just said. I'm like, I'm like, oh,
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Did I just hear
I
what
think you
I
stick
heard?
that in there. I might be cutting things too close here. All right.
Yeah, yeah. On that note, we should probably end the show before people might start writing articles, Mike, about
Oh
you just.
no, I'm not that interesting. My opinions suck. Don't worry about me, anyways. What do I know?
All right. On that note, everyone, again, thank you for watching. Appreciate the support as always. Love everyone in the live chat, and please smash that like button if you're new. Subscribe and hit the bell notifications so you're alerted when we go live. There will not be a BRAP rant this Saturday, as I will be on Season Gaming at 1 p.m. Eastern time with Ains and crew. So definitely want to check that out. It's going to be a fire show. So definitely looking forward to talking shop with those two gentlemen over there. So on that note, we are out. Everyone have a great rest of the week. Enjoy your time playing video games because there's a lot of great content out there right now. Whatever platform you're on, there really is a lot of great stuff to be playing right now. So enjoy it, and we'll catch you next week. We're out. Good night.
Bye.